The thing is, I know Ghana. Nigeria, unfortunately, they're running top-level businesses, so I wouldn't even set foot to do business in Nigeria. Even though, yes, we're all West African, Nigeria is a bit different still. The first experience of Ghana, it had me in tears on the way home. It was very different from what we were being shown. We were being shown village stuff and all that. Yeah. Came here and I was seeing Labadi Beach Hotel, 5-star hotels and all these things. I was like, but they're not showing these things on CNN. And then DoorDash end up acquiring them for like $110 million. So we're basically doing what DoorDash did, but for Africa, because we've grown about 500% since last year. We're on the right track. So it's a combination of having the right options for people. Then he made another video, and then I think we got about 4,000 registered users in 3 days. Wow. Crazy. It's the community that helps. I just feel that we're in Ghana and we're in Africa. There's no reason that foreign companies should have the majority market share. It doesn't make sense to me. I feel like I've talked too much, man, but thank you. Problems are happening. Whether it's not directly your business, the light will go off, the generator will spoil, like things will go wrong. So you just have to be ready to find a way to keep moving forward. Come to Ghana, stay for some time. If you can't do something you want to do easily, then there's an opportunity. God has given us all different visions. Whatever yours is, just go for it. Don't quit, because the only way we're going to build Africa is ourselves.
Hello guys, and welcome back again to another amazing episode. And this is the Diaspora Transition episode, where we have dialogue with diasporan who decided to transition to the continent, to relocate. And today we are here in Ghana. We have several episodes where we went to Gambia, Senegal, Tanzania, which is coming out soon, where we're interviewing entrepreneurs, diasporans who decided to relocate. So we are back home in Ghana doing the same thing here. And we have here someone very special. He's a CEO for Menufinder Africa. It's a food delivery business. It's more than that. You know, they really pay attention to high quality food. If you see any food on there, it's guaranteed. So I want to ask the CEO on how it all came about. You know, how did it started? Why would you leave the UK behind to establish something like that here in Ghana? So we're about to have a dialogue, and if it's something you're interested, stay tuned. So without further ado, Alex Darko, welcome on the show.
Brother Hayford, thank you very much, man. Webnation Africa. I like it.
I like your last name because we share the same name. My name is Hayford Budu Darko.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
you know, I'm convinced that Ghana in the beginning is just two families. Everything is just separated somehow. So we do the family tree. I'm sure we'll see something somewhere.
Probably family member, I'm sure.
I'll tell you.
I was making research about Menufinder Africa. I've known you for 2 years. Yeah. When I first moved to Ghana, and I saw what you were doing on your Instagram page, testing food. When I go to your page, it makes me feel hungry.
That's the objective, man.
You know, and seeing you 2 years ago from that to now doing food delivery, I didn't think you were doing that back then.
No, so we literally just started. I think 2 years it was Jan 22. Just started delivery, so it was very early. Yeah. Very, very early. People didn't even know.
And I go to the street on ANC, the avenue there, and anytime I go to one of the shops, I see one of your riders there.
That's good.
Waiting to pick up the food together with other delivery businesses. Yeah. I want to dive into your story on how it all came about. Right, even your journey growing up in the UK, because I see some accent a little bit there, right?
Yeah, I was born in the UK.
Yeah, so let's go back to the beginning of your story to see the mind behind Menufinder Africa. You know, your upbringing to the point where you've been able to do something like this for Africa here in Ghana. No,
thanks, man. I mean, as I said, so born in the UK. I first came to Ghana in 1992, I think it was. You know, I'm 44 years old now. I'm going to be 45 next month. And so I came 92 for a bit. That was my first experience. So even the first experience of Ghana, it had me in tears on the way home, because it was very different from what we were being shown. We were being shown, you know, all the village stuff and all that. Yeah. Came here and I was seeing Labadi Beach Hotel, 5-star hotels and all these things. I was like, but they're not showing these things on CNN or BBC World or whatever. So that was the first experience. Actually came back here to live for a couple of years, 96 to 98. Went back to England again, was working in sales and all of that stuff. Working at Selfridges and other places, jewelry stores.
Where we are currently filming this episode is called Jendu Place. Jendu Place is a co-working space located in East Legon, very close to American House. You're moving from the UK, US. You have a remote jack, right? You want to be able to plug and play. They have internet, okay, high-speed Wi-Fi, fiber optics. They also do have constant electricity. They have a whole solar system here, and they have backup, which is their local electricity company. So make sure you check them out. When you get here, tell them you're coming from Webnation Africa. You might get a discount.
And then I actually moved back to Ghana in 2003 to 2006.
Okay.
So I was working here for a marketing communications company.
Okay.
And then I lost my job at the time, and then my folks were in South Africa. So I went to explore South Africa for a bit, visit. I liked it, decided to stay. Took a very different tangent. I mean, I'd always been producing music and things on the side. So I did a sound engineering course, went into music, was in a band for a while.
Really?
Touring up and down the country. Yeah, the band was called Future Sound.
Wow.
And then from there, the band dissolved after a couple of years. And then I kind of found my way back into technology. So there was an interesting opportunity to either go with Barclays Africa or a company called Y Group. They were doing like digital vouchers and couponing. And they were looking for someone to be based in Ghana to look after West Africa. They had some interest in Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
And so I went for that job. You know, and I kind of weighed it up thinking, well, which one would I regret more? I would regret the one that I didn't take that could have brought me back to Ghana. So I took it, you know, and it kind of worked out for a few years. I was traveling between here and Nigeria. And then they also refocused on Europe. So I lost that job. And then I ended up in the bank here in Barclays, ABSA now.
ABSA, yeah.
Yeah, so before it transitioned. So I was at the bank for about 2 years. So all the while, I think Ghana is not the kind of place you just try and move. I think I tried to move even in 2012.
Yeah.
I didn't have the right job. It didn't work. It's an expensive place if you don't have the right setup.
Yeah.
It can really cost and drain you and stuff like that. So, so after being in the bank, while I was in the bank,
from what year to what year?
So the bank, I was there from, I think Y Group was 2015 to 2019, I think it was. No, 2017. Then bank was 2017 to 2019, I think it was, yeah. So there was a period where I'd already started Menufinder. So I'd been here 2015 to 2017, and I was just surveying the landscape, and it was actually Mother's Day 2017, and you know, wifey wanted to get something to eat.
Oh wow.
Well, I said to her, let's go get something to eat. And so I asked her where she'd want to go, and she suggested, I think it was Citrus down the road in East Legon.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, check online, see if they've got the food you like, then we'll go there. Went online, couldn't see anything. Then I said, okay, don't worry, we'll go there. It's just 2 minutes down the road. Went there, was closed. I suggested Coco Lounge, I think, and Vida Cafe at the time. And I think one of them Coco Lounge had a partial menu. So she was like, oh, for goodness sake, somebody should just, you know, kind of sort this out. And I was like, well, we're somebody. If we're having this issue of not being able to find the food we want, then someone else is probably having that issue. So that's kind of where Menufinder was born, because I thought, well, let me see if I can centralize this information. So more like a directory at first. So the restaurant location, the menu, the pricing, opening, closing times, all of that stuff. So I got a guy to put a website together. It was Menufinder Ghana at the time. But then the problem now was the website was looking terrible in a sense because the images were not good. People were not using good images. So they were using these dark and dingy photos of noodles or burger or whatever. Like it's really looking unloved. Meanwhile, the food maybe is really nice from the restaurant, but they just weren't capturing it in a decent way. So
that
because
looks attractive.
Exactly. So, you know, because I have a passion for food and photography and technology and all that, I started photographing myself, all the images. and then going around the restaurants, photographing the meals, and then listing them on the site. Now the site was looking clean. Then from there, it kind of translated to Instagram logically because it's images. And then I think I was trying to explain something at one point, and it was easier to show the food and then describe it. And then obviously the food was looking nice, so I took a bite, and then the engagement shot up. So I said, hey, so people want me to just be biting the food and all that. And so we started doing that. And it was really like the first of its kind type of reviews. People weren't doing those types of reviews. It was very more written,
like a more mukbang.
So it was more real time assessment or reactions of food and what they're serving, how it comes, how it tastes, how it looks. So basically what you can expect. And then it kind of ended up doing reviews for different restaurants, doing photography, videography. So it kind of grew as like this page to show people where the best food is. So we always knew that delivery would be in the pipeline. Menufinder 6 years now, so 2 years in delivery. But even in year one,
6 years.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Even in year one, people wanted us to do delivery, but it wasn't feasible.
Really? Well, why wasn't it feasible?
I think, look, obviously I know a lot more now doing the business, but even then, you could anticipate that it's not that simple. You have to have a whole system that's designed to be able to list and house the menu, then be able to take payment, then payment needs to trigger, then it needs to trigger to the back end, and the back end needs to also trigger to the rider. When things are accepted, it needs to trigger back to the customer. So it's quite a technical bit of complexity that needs to be really clear and well understood, because if anything happens and it breaks that chain, the person on the other end is hungry. So I always tell the staff, people are, when they're ordering, either they're hungry or they know they're about to be, but either way, they don't have patience. Because when food is waiting for you, I mean, your mind is you just want to get it as quickly as possible.
Wow. So since you started delivery, how many years has it been now?
So it's been 2 years. So we started in January 22. We started literally with 3 restaurants, I think, in East Legon.
Listed on the platform, or you were going?
So originally the platform had like hundreds of restaurants, but it was more of a directory.
Okay.
So what we tried to do, we tried to indicate which ones did delivery and which ones didn't.
Okay.
But it didn't work. People didn't. They don't read. And it's
so far as they see the store, they want
so far as they see it there. So I remember clearly there was one customer that sent an image to our Instagram, a video, and she's, look, I'm trying to order, and her nails were all done, and she was just there tapping like, I'm trying to order, but nothing's happening. Meanwhile, it says clearly that it doesn't deliver. But anyway, I can understand it in a way, because we also go out of our way to make sure that images are really, enticing and look really juicy. So I guess it was a bit of a tease for them. So we had to actually end up stripping out the restaurants that didn't do delivery and then quickly onboard enough so that it made sense that we just didn't have 3 restaurants on there. Now we have 74, I think, at the moment.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Let's speak about where the market is going. I think convenience is now a thing now in this day. We want things to be delivered to us. We want things at our doorstep easier. And I think with social media, that's where we're going. I was living in China, and I can order food. It's called Meituan.
Okay.
It's just like Menufinder Africa.
I've heard of that, actually.
And it would be at my doorstep 5 to 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Maximum.
Yeah, the Chinese, they've got the thing down, on lock.
Because of the addressing system, right? It's so
the infrastructure that helps to make those things. So doing these things in Africa is different. So again, our approach is, look, I mean, these are huge companies, Bolton Global. It's not to discredit them. It's just that our approach is different. So we're focusing on high quality food from hand-picked.
Let's dive into that a little
restaurants. Exactly. So whereas Bolton Global, you may have thousands of merchants listed on the app, we will rather have maybe 300 to 400, but 300 to 400 of the best, and then layer value add services on top. So maybe, Menufinder Plus subscription that gives you free delivery and discounts and things like that. But so it's important for us to make sure that in each zone and every area, we have the best restaurants. At the moment, we're mostly between East Legon, Osu, Laboni cantonments, and then 10-kilometer delivery range from the restaurant point. But we taste all the food. We make sure, the team and we taste everything that goes on the platform to make sure that it's something that is good, is prepared from a decent place, and it's something that we're comfortable that people would actually order again.
I like that. Now, how's the growth been, the whole process? I mean, food delivery business is not easy. It's not a joke.
It's not.
And thinking about even the application side of it,
it's not.
How's it been?
Look, it's been a learning curve. If you think that's the thing. The app is a means to an end anyway. So the app is an enabler to make the business side of it make sense. It's a tool that's used to conduct the business. The business is bringing food, giving people access to be able to order food and get it delivered to their doorstep. That's the business. The app helps make that happen. So you've got payment component and tracking and all of these other components in there. But I think, look, in the beginning, we've done this thing kind of bootstrapped and, with a bit of friends and family and a few angel investors, but we haven't raised much. We've only raised $36,000. So it's not a lot at all in the grand scheme of these things. So I'm proud of what we've been able to achieve. But in the beginning, there were some mistakes we made. We built it on a certain, code base that didn't really allow us to be able to.
What was some of the code base you like to share?
We did it. I think we initially did it on Swift and Kotlin. I think native Android and iOS apps, and we used a team of Indian developers. And this is not to say that, you shouldn't use Indian developers, but what we should have done it knowing that we had technical capability to oversee what was being done properly. At that time, we didn't even have a CTO the very first time doing this. Since we have, and things are much tidier. But we learned the lesson of having to now, if we wanted to build new features, we had to actually rebuild the app. So the app is now built on Flutter, Google's programming language. And so when you push to one, you push to Android and iOS simultaneously. But it's made things a lot easier for us to be able to, add new features and do the things we want much quicker than we were able to before. It was so frustrating. And so when you realize you've got an audience that you're serving, because we've got about 3,500 customers at the moment.
Is the user base?
Yes.
Okay.
And so we got 24,000 registered users, but active people ordering is about 3,500. So obviously, any small thing that happens, or the app goes down, or any interruption, it affects people's ability to order. And if it affects their ability to order, then you might lose that customer, maybe for the day, but if you're not careful, you may lose them for life. So having a responsive team and building the team, which we've now got. So it's been a journey.
Team building, because I know it can be,
it
can be something.
Look, team dynamics are very, very difficult to manage. I think people need to try your best to try and, you hear a lot of people saying that, especially in our beloved country, Ghana, that it's difficult because the staff, sometimes they don't give it the same effort that you would expect, or what they've portrayed to you that they're willing to do doesn't match sometimes with the output. And I'm not saying for everyone, but it's a common complaint amongst some of the founders and business builders. But I think, the way we've done it is just try our best to try and reinforce the culture, the vision. What does Menufinder even mean? Why are we even doing this? So for us, for instance, we're doing it because we want to be the best The vision is to become the best food delivery app in Africa. But the mission is to build lives. We want to build people's lives. We want to give people opportunity. We've had instances where riders have come and told us that, been able to buy land and do things that they would never otherwise have been able to do. Not that you should be indebted to Menufinder for life, but it should be something that came into your life. You took the opportunity and it leveled you up. Not just the riders, but all the staff, the whole team. So I think it stems from just reinforcing the values. So the values for us is respect, quality, excellence. So that must transcend through all aspects of the business, whether it's stuff internally for the customer, for our merchants, our partners, the riders. Treat everyone equally. So it's something that you have to consistently do, because you have to almost program people to understand
the vision.
And if they buy in, then they buy in. But it's like anything. Even if we're going to buy, you're going to buy a new car, you're going to buy a house, you're going to buy clothes, you'll see it. You'll do some calculations and assessment. Is this really what I want? Is this really for me? All of that stuff. And when you come to that conclusion, then you're all in, and then you're happy to part with your money. So it's the same kind of
I like it. One of the things I really appreciate about Menufinder Africa is it being black owned.
Oh, nice.
Unlike other, food delivery business out there, the reason is if it's black owned and it's made by us, we know how to treat our people much better than other will do, because you'll be surprised how much
I think so.
How much some people get as a salary. It does not. It doesn't even take care of the accommodation, the living.
It's difficult. It's funny because one of my co-founders. One co-founder is my wife, Shana, and then the other is Ebenezer, our head of product. And he's in UK. He's based in UK, but he comes up and down at the moment. So when he came down, we actually took a walk with a couple of the staff when they closed work to see where and how they actually get their cars to go home. Because that's the reality. If it's in London, you just get up, you get your bus, get your tube. The thing will even tell you it's coming in 3 minutes. You get on, you get to work. It's no issue. Here we're asking people, okay, be at work by 8 or be at work by 9, whatever the time is. And then, finish work at this time, get home. How are they getting home? So when we went there and looked at how nuts the motorway was that they had to cross, it's actually crazy. So it's like, we have to take cognizance of the fact that it's not easy. In Africa, it's not easy to just even get and show up to work. Then when you're there, you have to perform. Then you have to find a way back home. Then do all the other things that, whether it's visiting family, laundry, whatever your domestic situation is, you still have to do those things. So I think speaking to the team and understanding their circumstance more and more, helps us to kind of know how we need to inspire the team, and then also what we need to do remuneration-wise that makes sense for them as well. Because you can't. Africa is Ghana. It's not easy. It's not. I'll say it point blank.
You made mention trying to raise funds for. What is? Tell me more about it.
So it's not been an easy task. There are a lot of people out there that are looking for crazy growth. And yes, it's good to have. You want to hear, you've gone from, your revenue was, $500 a month, and now it's 20,000, then 20,000 to 100,000, all in 4 months, and that's fine. But I think what we've done is we're trying to tackle the root of how the operation works. What is going to sustainably make us grow? Because we've grown, I think our revenue's gone up by about 500% since last year.
Oh, wow.
Like this time last year. So we're on the right track. So it's a combination of having the right restaurants, the right options for people, and then also what is it that we do for the riders as well in particular, because the rider aspect is where things go wrong. So whether it's some of the other competitors, because they have so many of them, it's difficult for them to manage, and it's very hand to mouth. So we have a strategy where we've done what makes sense for them. They have a monthly salary, then they have trips and tips as well. So there's a package that makes sense for them to focus and do the work, so that they won't just disappear when it's time to go and deliver, because they need to quickly make money for school fees or something like that. But the fundraising, look, we're speaking to people. Interestingly enough, one of the riders, he spoke to a gentleman who's invested called William. He's actually a friend, become a friend now.
Wow.
And he invested $10,000 in the business. And, Lucky spoke to him and said, look, you need to be, I think he was waiting for some food somewhere. Yeah. So I was shocked. So he spoke to him and said, there's this company, Menufinder, where I work for. They have amazing food. You need to be using it if you want to order food. They got the best food, and there's investment opportunities.
Oh, wow. So your rider is the one doing the pitching.
My name is Lucky G. So I was like, hey. So then I got a message from William saying, I just met one of your riders and, really impressed and I wanted to find out who's behind it. And he said there's investment opportunities. So, fast forward and, he did follow through with the investment. We also rewarded.
Because they understood the vision.
That's the key thing that I'm trying to. So sometimes you go on about the vision and the culture and all that. And sometimes you wonder if it's really, are people really grasping it? But when you see things like that, then you know that it is. So sometimes I hear these guys talking. I hear the things they say, how they talk about the business, how they talk about customers, how they talk about things. And this is not to say that the operations team is any less important. It's just that if a customer orders from, I don't know, Rosé Garden, for instance, they may never have seen Menufinder before. They may never have even seen Rosé Garden. All they'll know is the app. And then when they actually get their food delivered, all they'll see is the rider. And that's the only representation they have for both businesses. So it's so important. So it's key. And I think seeing these guys understanding that, so we have a system on the app that allows for reviews and things. So, normally it's between 5 and 4 stars, which is fantastic. Wow, so it's great to see, and we show them as well so they can see what the impact it makes when they're nice and they're courteous and they're helpful to people, and they get good tips from the guys as well. So I'm happy about that.
That's nice. Now, you being a diasporan, right?
Yeah.
I know I always preach on this platform that diasporans should move to the continent because it's now time to invest, to capitalize on the opportunities here. If people are watching this episode and they've been willing to partner with you or even to invest, how would they go about it?
Look, they can contact us directly. I mean, I'll leave my details. You can get us through Instagram or Menufinder Africa, email alex@menufinderafrica.com. Our website is there, menufinderafrica.com. But I think, look, people need to see the vision. And so some will, because you've got a lot of people that, it's like in New York, there's an app called Caviar. That was a bit similar to DoorDash, but the difference was they were focusing on quality, high quality restaurants, very niche market. The kind of restaurants you see on Caviar, you won't see on DoorDash or Postmates or whatever else. And then DoorDash end up acquiring them for like $410 million in 2019. So we're basically doing what DoorDash did, but for Africa. We don't feel like we need to make food accessible for absolutely every type of restaurant. We'll rather go for that niche. So it could be something from Fika Tea House, which can cost you, 45 cedis, up to, a pizza from Bella Afrique, which costs you, 280 or 300 cedis, whatever it is. So there's that spectrum, but the underpinning thing is this quality. So, look, we're looking for people to support if they feel like they want to support a good business, and it's important that they get to know us in terms of our character.
Right.
Integrity is key. People do get investment and they do all sorts of interesting and colorful things with it. Our objective is to plow back into the team, to plow back into, because look, the team is about 15 people strong.
Okay.
And if we're making this impact with this amount of people, then imagine what happens when we do it with 50, 100, 1,000.
Yeah.
So imagine what happens when we actually expand outside of
African
Ghana
country.
and start doing this in all the available
I see the vision.
markets. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
The impact is huge. You take care, because you know how Africa is. You take care of one person, you take care of,
Recommend it to
they're
others.
taking care of a whole group of people already. So that impact, if you can replicate that and increase the value of remuneration to that person as the business grows, you're changing lives without
like
even
that.
knowing it. You're changing lives in your sleep.
That's so true. Let me play the devil's advocate a little bit.
Sure.
So someone would say, you know, I mean, it's together with your team to see which restaurant fits the standard, right?
Yeah.
But someone would say, aren't you taking money out of your own pocket by filtering through the restaurants that qualify? Because then if you look at other food delivery businesses, they have like thousands and thousands of restaurants that they, you know, and that brings more money. So are you not taking money out of your pocket by you know, making sure it's only the top?
I get you. It's a good question. Look, I'll put it this way. If we had a room full of 50 people now, and I ask how many people have a Bentley, or how many people have a Rolex, or how many people have a Cartier, not many people will put their hands up. Yet, if you go to order some of these things, you'll get a waiting list. So that we've identified that there is a certain market of people. It doesn't need to be as big. So this is where the difference is. We'll have a higher average order value per customer. So the average order is around $13 to $14 per customer per order. Whereas because of having cheaper alternatives or less expensive alternatives on, you know, Bolt Glovo, etc., you have to do so many to make up the numbers. So we actually have to even sell less at our peak, and we'll be able to make more money from a smaller pool of people. And I think it's the smaller pool of people that makes it more appealing for us to be able to maintain control and then keep the standards. Because I just think doing it for everyone is different. For instance, I'll give you an example. You order from Bolt in or I don't know, Glovo in Barcelona now, where they're from. Someone will come to deliver in a quick time with a yellow jacket, you know, all branded, all that stuff. You order here in Ghana from Glovo, someone will come with a Bolt bag and slippers and all of that
house
stuff.
attire.
Yeah, it's not regulated, it's not controlled. If you order from Menufinder, someone will come with a Menufinder tee, Menufinder bag, branded. So we're trying to grow with that same level of of a premium last mile experience. And I think the bigger you get with if you're trying to serve everyone, that's just going to become increasingly difficult. So I feel like we should grow, we should expand, but we should keep it to a certain amount that is manageable, and then try and replicate that per country. So it becomes a niche. That's
Someone would say you would have a bigger market in Nigeria than you would in Ghana.
Yeah, definitely.
Why not Nigeria first?
But the thing is, I know Ghana. Nigeria, hey, my brother. Like, look, I've made some good friends in Nigeria, and people who, you know, are running, you know, fortunately they're running really top level businesses. So I wouldn't even set foot to do business in Nigeria without speaking to them and understanding things. You know, there's certain things, even though, yes, we're all West African. Like if you go to Nigeria now and you shake the hand, they'll click the same way.
Yeah.
Go to Ivory Coast, they shake the hand and click the same way.
Yeah.
Nigeria is a bit different still from Ghana in some ways. Mobile money works fluidly here. Mobile money doesn't work there. People want bank to bank. That's what they trust.
Yeah.
Because of just circumstance and other things. I'm sure there are other factors as well. You go to Ivory Coast, there will be certain things that we understand as West Africans, but they're also the French speaking, so they also have a different way of seeing certain things. So I think as much as some of the markets are similar, and yes, I can see that definitely a Menufinder would work, but it's just there'll be certain things that if you go in there thinking exactly the same as Ghana, I'm sure we'll get a very pleasant surprise. Rude awakening that, some things needed to be considered that we hadn't done.
Yeah, let's go look at 6 years into it, right? What are the 3 things you wish you knew before the start of everything? You wish, like, I knew I this or that before I started Menufinder Africa.
I think I wish I knew, firstly, how time consuming and how much effort running your own business takes. It takes everything. My kids are like, oh, dad, how come today? So I have to constantly be forfeiting time and then making it up in another way. Because sometimes it's critical. You might be doing something that if you don't give the attention to that thing, the business might well suffer some setback that you can't recover easily. So is it that or spending time with your child? So you weigh it. If it's something that's not going to break the business, then go spend time with your child, because that's the things that are important. But I think, I wish I understood how much time and effort this thing would take. Probably another thing, I wish I understood the value of reading. I use Blinkist to get audiobook summaries and things like that. I've always, read bits and things like that, but if I knew, I'd have been stocking up even more in preparation, knowing that I'm going to start this business. I kind of like listen to more interviews and, read more books and things now that I've started. But if I'd known, I would have been loading up so that some of that knowledge is already there. Some you just have to experience it. You can't get around it. And then probably the third thing, it's a good friend of mine, Julian Owusu. He has a company called Build and Point, and he's built a tech community, of which there are other people that I've also made friends with as well. Anthony Shack Express, Cecilia Consume, few different people, Kingsley Kudigo. And I think I wish I'd gotten into that community or made efforts to connect with people earlier, because you realize that some of the people, or most of the people, are going through some of the things that you're going through as well. You might feel isolated by some of the things you're going through, but you'll find that these are not, they're not unique circumstances, they're not unique challenges. And I think sometimes when those guys are there, you can bounce things, even just information. Where do you need to? I need to register my company in Delaware. Okay, no, go here, go to this side. Just simple things. It just helps you to have more of a community. So those are the things, I think.
I like that. Now, normally we just say that as Black people, there's a word out there that we often find it very difficult to work with our brothers or our own people. And most of the time they are the ones that hold us back, right? In your journey, how has friends and family contributed or reacted to your journey, creating Menufinder Africa?
Look, I think. Look, my immediate family has been very, very supportive. Even some of my uncles and a couple of people. It's not going to be the majority, and I think when you're trying to do something different that almost seems impossible and people don't quite understand, then you shouldn't even be offended that people, even if my parents or whoever, my sister didn't see it, I shouldn't be upset about that. I should just realize that, well, it's just, they just have to come to that understanding at some time, or it's my job to find a way to convince them to understand the vision. But I think, look, people for the most part have been supportive, and I've got a few close friends that use the service, and they use the service in a way that they don't, if ever they encounter something, they don't really tell me. They go through the proper channels, customer service and things, and I think that's really cool. I think it shows a real, not to say that people shouldn't contact. If you have my number, and that's fine, you feel free to contact me about whatever, it's the business. So, but it's just interesting that some choose to actually go through the proper channels, and then give me feedback on whether that worked or not as well, so it can help me also put the things in place. But I think, generally, the people who I've expected to support without question have done so. There are others who have surprised me. There's people that have told me this will never work. I wouldn't be surprised if there are people who even use the service now, but it is what it is. Your vision is yours. You can't expect someone else to take it and hold it and believe in it the same way you do. So you're lucky if you do. Yeah.
Let's go back in time. If that night of Mother's Day came again and you had the option to say, why don't we be the ones to solve this problem? Would you still be like, I want to still solve it?
Would I still do it again?
Taking into consideration of the challenges, the nerve-wracking moments, I think I saw an interview of you out there where there are moments where you had to cry or take a moment to reflect. Would you still make that decision?
I remember there was a point last year where we were just about to, salaries were due, and I think we had like 641 cedis left in the account.
Wow.
And there's me telling everyone, and I like to be transparent, so I'll tell them point blank, we're building this thing together, and we're building it in a way that we're going to offer shares to our employees and all that thing. Everyone will own a piece if you want to do the time, do the service, and get the reward. But there are times where, and then God was good, and we got a good batch of money that helped us to get through to the next stage. But I think I would do it again. But I would do a lot of things different. Like I'll do things quicker. I'd do things. I wouldn't be so concerned about some things, and I'd put the effort where I need to. Now I'm trying to. I heard someone say one time that you should put, what's the 15% of the business you can focus on that can give you 85% of the output. And so that's how I'm always trying to look at it now. Like, what are the key things that I can focus on that can make the biggest difference? So even if I get a few setbacks within the week, I've done these key things, and that's generally moving us ahead by about 60-70%. So I would do it again, but I think I wouldn't say sweat the small stuff. I would realize that you're always hoping to get into the clear where problems are not happening. Problems are happening. Whether it's not directly your business, the light will go off, the generator will spoil, things will go wrong. So you just have to be ready to process that, and then just build resilience so that you can just find a way to keep moving forward and just try and mitigate as much of that as possible, but accept it and just find a way to tackle them.
Speaking of opportunities, you identified opportunity to solve that problem, which I know Menufinder is going to be huge. It is already huge.
Thanks, man. Because
if I calculate the media presence compared to other platforms, you are really out there.
Well, we're trying, man, and I think it's it's people like yourselves as well. It's people like you doing this, and some of the other people that have been graceful enough to have us to speak about what we're doing. Recently we had a tech reviewer, Delpy. He put something online. I think he made a comment about that. I think on Bolt you can't review the restaurant, the food.
Yeah.
And so I commented on the page saying, Menufinder, we can. Yeah. This is how it works. Then he made another video, and then from that video, I think we got about 4,000 registered users in 3 days.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
So last week we hit our highest number of orders, and so it's the community that helps. And I think, and then someone else also, Desi, he just did another feature saying, about Ghanaian-owned businesses, and some of my friends' businesses were also in there. But I think that's what helps. I think I just feel that we're in Ghana and we're in Africa. There's no reason that a foreign company should have the majority market share. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm not saying you shouldn't be there. Of course, the world is for everyone, but not the majority.
Why do we have that, if you don't mind speaking on that? Because I think it's just not food businesses or even restaurants. You'd realize that 90% of restaurants that has the most market, that takes in the most money, sorry to say, not
foreign owned.
No, it's not.
A lot of them are. So I don't know. I'm not really sure why that is, but I just know that it doesn't feel right that more Ghanaians are not getting the opportunity to build their businesses to that level. Let me put it that way. So if there are ways that we can help grow that or facilitate that, or one thing we're looking at is like a cloud kitchen network that can allow for people to scale up to different zones, and then we will do exclusive delivery for them. It's cheaper than getting a whole other brick and mortar restaurant. So there are certain things we're looking at to see, but it all requires money, man. So if there's someone out there that wants to give us $1 million, it'll be $1 million. You know what? If someone was out there that wanted to give us $1 million, I'd say, don't give it to us. Give us 500,000. Out of the 500,000, I cut it in half. Out of the half, I cut it again. And then what can we do with 125 now that can move the needle ahead? Our objective is to get to profitability this year if we can raise the funds that we need to. But I think in and around receiving funding to that scale, we should be able to help some restaurants do things like what you're saying, give them the opportunity to be able to scale up, and increase the size and the reach of their business. So if you have a restaurant that is only in maybe East Legon or whatever, you don't have the capacity to expand, we should be able to even funnel some funds to build a cloud kitchen in Tessano or Dansuman or whatever. You come in there, favorable terms, and then we do exclusive delivery for you. And now all of a sudden you've got access to a newer market. But we're using data to even determine what kind of food should be in the cloud kitchens and stuff. So we're looking at different ways to solve I don't think the solution is just to have thousands of riders and that will solve it, because it's the location of the restaurants. Just the location alone of the restaurants makes it difficult, because there's only one living room, there's only one buka, there's only one, La Baracha, Bella Afrique, and everybody wants access to it, no matter where they are. So you have to find a way to cleverly get these people access without choking the logistics. So I think within doing that, there could be opportunity to raise up restaurant owners and give them opportunity to get new market.
One thing that I think makes you stand out, and what makes Menufinder Africa stands out, is the quality of service, right, and of food. How are you trying to even get the existing restaurants that does not necessarily qualify to your standard to enroll some sort of education that would make them understand that them raising their standard to this would actually bring them more money, because you're going to get good review, right, and recurring customers. Are you?
Look, I think inadvertently we do that in the sense that, because obviously, as I said, we taste food. So people will be sending food, every week someone will send something to taste and see. And then we have to assess whether... So if for some reason it doesn't meet the criteria, then we'll give them feedback on what it is. And sometimes they want to try again. Sometimes, unfortunately, it still doesn't go. But sometimes you can understand that it may be... people have off days. Everyone has off days. I think every business. There's no business that can be 100% open. Even AI is off sometimes. I mean, everything can have an off. Exactly. So we give them an opportunity to resubmit. But I think the critical thing is giving them feedback on what it is. Maybe the thing was too salty or this was too dry, or whatever the thing is that can help them understand. Because sometimes they may understand that, this is what happened, this is what went wrong. Something led to that being that way, which was maybe unique, and it doesn't represent how the food normally is. Or they just take the feedback and then they can, improve the product.
Based on the data you've gathered so far, both from the restaurant that qualified to be on the platform and those that didn't. If you was to give like 3 things they should improve in order to get their standard, then what would be that 3rd thing?
Preparation time.
Preparation time, okay.
Preparation time, look, it's ranging between, I don't know, it could be ranging between, when you look at the average, so we look at the data, the average could be between 40 to 55 minutes across. Mm-hmm. That means, yes, some will be done in 25 minutes, some will be done 30, but across board. So if you look at our average pickup to delivery time, it's usually between 17 to 18 minutes.
Okay.
It's usually always under 20 minutes.
From the time
we pick up the food to the time we deliver to the customer. So the riders are super efficient. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the restaurants can take longer. So I think improving that process. And sometimes it may not be, sometimes you might get instances where the food is actually ready, but then they've just not marked ready for pickup.
Okay.
So then it's also our side to make sure that the training, is ongoing
data.
Mm-hmm. and all of that stuff.
Okay.
And then just prioritizing or giving the appropriate attention to delivery-based orders compared to, I wouldn't say prioritizing, but giving the right attention compared to in-store or in-restaurant orders. Mm-hmm. I think packaging as well.
Packaging?
Yeah,
okay.
you see that because you don't want spillages and, we secure things nicely in the thermal bags, but the better they're wrapped and the better the packaging, then I think that will help to alleviate any, mishaps and things like that. Probably the 3rd thing is just don't be afraid of branding. Sometimes some of the restaurants they don't want Menufinder stickers and things like that. So what we've even started to do is try and tailor some of the artwork to match. So if you've got more neutral colors, we'll get a neutral thing that can stand there, so we can say yes, we deliver with Menufinder. But I think people are scared of those things sometimes. And it's interesting. So on that topic, I remember one time we had a conversation with the VP of marketing for DoorDash. I think one time, my co-founder and I, for 30 minutes. And he was saying in the first 6 years, they didn't advertise. They just concentrated on branding the stores. So basically just letting people communicate to their customers that you can now order our food on Menufinder. So I think if they're a bit more unafraid of that.
What makes them that?
I think, look, I understand, because if you look at places like, I don't know, Vine or Treehouse or Pomona, Number 10, these are some of these places we do exclusive delivery with, and so they're quite upmarket places. So you don't want too stickery and too tacky. So I understand some of it, but I think what we need to do is just find some middle ground. And I think some of them have done that, and we're grateful for them to be thinking outside the box. But I understand it. The restaurants, it's like their baby. So I get it. I understand why they'll be protective of it and all that. But I think they have to understand that we're working with them to help provide access to different customer base, and also even their existing customers, to make it easier for them to get their same food that they come to enjoy in person.
Do you think most restaurants understand this?
I wouldn't say most. I'll say a lot more are starting to understand it. Yeah, because you'll see that as you engage and I always like to engage with the owners, because that's the best place. Sometimes depending on how the restaurant is set up, the management may not necessarily understand the sentiments of the owner in the same way, based on how it may be explained or the opportunity may be explained. So, but I think they are starting to do that more. You start to see it's not.
I like that.
They're starting to realize the value of having a service, and not just any service, a service with solid riders, top tier customer service, and, a nice selected list of restaurants.
it circles back to the education side of it, right? Making people understand that these restaurants understand that ultimately, by partnering with Menufinder Africa and other food delivery business, they will end up making more money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Than they will, because then their customers are not only going to come from the surroundings, right, but then the whole of Accra or Ghana.
Well, that's the thing. So I think for us, it caps at 10-kilometer radius, but we're looking at some potential service that allows for extended radius for a certain subscription or something. So we're exploring that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think they do need to understand that it's something that will help their business. And I think what scares them as well sometimes is the commissions. Because obviously we take 15% commission on the basket value. So if the order, let's say the whole entire order is 125 cities, 25 cities is delivery, that's paid for by the customer. Then 100 cities, out of the 100, we take 15, and then the merchant takes 85. So, but with other companies, it could be 20%, it could be 30%, it could be whatever. So I think that's something that also scares them. So a lot of people, if they can help it, it benefits them if someone buys for them direct. But it also depends on, do you want to be making food and then someone call you to say, oh, it's 2 hours now, my food hasn't come? Or do you want to focus on what you're good at, which is making the food, and then let services like ourselves take care of the logistics and handle the customer and all of that stuff? So, but I think more and more people are warming up to it.
I like that. And I'm very happy seeing so many restaurants open up in Accra.
It's a lot.
Every weekend there's a new restaurant.
That's what it feels like, man. But unfortunately, not all of them last. That's the thing. So
why?
I think a lot of restaurants are trying to do too much of everything. So or the focus on aesthetics, maybe without focusing on the food, which is the key thing. So obviously it's an experience. So obviously nice aesthetics, nice food, it goes hand in hand. But I think if you speak to most people, would they want an average place with amazing food or an amazing place with average food? I'm sure they'll pick the former. Did you see what I mean? So I think it's just having that blend. And I think some people are getting it right and they're doing really well. So I think that's something that kind of missed the mark. Perfect the product. Once the product is good, it will speak for itself. Speaking
of opportunities that diasporans can capitalize on, food is one of the things every day people eat.
Yeah.
Add two more opportunities you've identified that you think businesses or entrepreneurs can just move into Ghana and just invest into it.
Look, I think probably, in the same way that the restaurants and things went centralized before, it's the same way that, I don't know, if you want to organize an event, you want to plan an event, where do you go? Okay, you got to find an event planner. Where are they? Who are they? Where are they listed? Is there any directory I can go to? Or can I build my event like a modular thing? So if I hire chairs, this is the company, this is the rating. So could you piece something together to can actually help you build your own event? Or even finding, masons and laborers and people that can do, housing works, electrician, all of these. There's no centralized place to find these things. So those are all opportunities, I think. I think the main thing is come to Ghana. Don't do the dirty December and think that that's not the real Ghana anyway. It's an aspect of Ghana, but that's not the only one for sustained business and opportunity. Come out of peak season, stay for some time, and then start to do things the way you would normally try to get things done. And then you will find where there's friction and resistance is probably where the opportunity is. If you can't do something you want to do easily, then there's an opportunity. That's how I see it.
I like that. Give 3 advice to diasporans watching this who have been inspired and want to embark on a journey to Ghana, Africa, to solve some of the problems that we have on the continent.
Again, just visit with intent, stay for a decent period of time. If you can't come for 6 months, a year, and all that, come for a decent period of time. Come for at least 3 weeks, a month at a time. Come and visit. Speak to people. Speak to people who have done that. There are different networks. So whether I think the US have. I'm a UK diasporan, but the US have a certain network. And I think, there's the UK diaspora relations team, Pamela and her team. They can help point you in the right direction, how to set up your business, how to do this, how to do that. And then speak to people. There's a lot of events and round tables and things. You can give you information about what it's like on the ground. And then, just take your time, but ultimately go for it. Don't be afraid. But I think just make sure that you have enough runway for what you want to start, because Ghana is expensive. The fuel, the food, the electricity, it costs a lot. So if you can put something in place that your basic needs are covered, then you have time to explore these opportunities. You don't want to be exploring these opportunities when you're worrying about rent and all this. It's not going to help you to be strategic. So I think those are the things I would suggest.
This is a wonderful conversation. I really like the way you've explained how the whole business runs and
Thanks,
things.
Man.
I think I'm inspired, and I know people watching are also inspired. Would you say this whole experience and inventing literally Menufinder Africa has been worth it for you?
155%. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think it's something that I'm proud of. I'm proud of the team. I'm proud of the way that people receive us. I'm proud of the way we're able to build and forge relationships even with the restaurants and the restaurant owners and the people. Ultimately, when we see happy customers, then we know we're doing something right, because customer service is a big deal in our part of the world. And when you're ticking that box, it makes a difference. Obviously, you get some days where things will happen, but it's how quickly we can respond. If we keep that up and scale that way, we're going to have a formidable business that will literally span the whole of Africa.
Amen.
And have the same type of reputation as being like a high-quality organization.
I like that. If you do have a final message for the people watching, what would that message be?
The final message, whatever it is you have in your heart, whatever you believe, whatever you can see, just go for it, no matter what. Entrepreneurship is up and down. God has given us all different visions, different affinity, a different leaning towards different businesses or outcomes or solutions. Whatever yours is, if you identify and you feel it, go for it. Even if it doesn't make obvious sense, just uncover, and then you'll find out, that's why I was getting this feeling. You can see that this is actually what makes sense. Because I've questioned myself a lot of times. What makes me think I can come and solve food delivery? Who am I? All that stuff. But then you have to get past that, and then use test it with people. Use the validation you get from people to encourage you. But just go for it. Don't quit, because the only way we're going to build Africa is ourselves. Can't rely on government, can't rely on this, can't rely on that. If we come and do it, build the building blocks and build legacy ourselves, it will work.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I feel like I've talked too much, man, but thank you. Thank you very much.
I love what you do. Because there's so much knowledge,
Thanks,
coming from me, and I really appreciate it. And I know the viewers will also appreciate it.
Thank you for the platform. Honestly, what you guys are doing is giving us ability to share our stories And I think every time we do these things, we also learn something ourselves. Every guest, I'm sure, will learn something about themselves, about their business.
True.
So thank you, Webnation.
Thank you too. All right, guys, if you are enjoying or you did enjoy this video, please don't forget to like the video, comment down below what you like about the episode, share to friends and family so they can also benefit. Thank you so much for watching. So without further ado, can we say bye-bye to the people watching? All right.
Thank you, guys.
Peace out.